Hi, I'm Jerry Moon, and today we're going to give you your very first lesson on how to play the piano and how to play the piano by ear. Now, before we get started, I'd like to tell you right off the bat that the most important thing about learning to play the piano is practice. Practice, practice, practice. The biggest part of learning to play is all in the practice. The more time you spend practicing, the better you're going to get. And over the years, I've found that a lot of the things that I've learned playing the piano has been simply by the mistakes I've made while I was playing the piano. And so, as we begin today, we're going to assume that you don't know absolutely anything about playing the piano. And so as we begin today, the first thing that we want to do is to take and find out what are the keys. It can be kind of intimidating at first, all the keys up on the keyboard, and you look at all of them and you're thinking, man, I've got to learn everything. But we're going to break this down to be real simple, and you'll find out that the piano is really not as complicated as it at first appears. It can become more complicated than you ever dreamed. And so we're going to begin our first lesson today, and first of all, the first step is to know what the keys. First thing that we need to do is learn where middle C is on the piano. We can start by doing that by looking here on the piano. We find the nameplate on most of the pianos, on the brand that they are. Look here where the nameplate is at in the very center of the piano, and then right below it find the two black notes. This is middle C, the first white note on the left of these two black notes in the center of the name on the piano. We find that there's not as many different notes on the piano as what you would first might expect. We drop down two and there's A, B, C, D, E, F, G. That's it. And then it starts all over again. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. 8 notes. That's it. So it doesn't matter whether or not if you're playing a C down here, a C in the middle, the next octave up. Every time we go up from C to C, it's called an octave. And so we have 8 notes, and then you may look and say, well, what about the black notes? When we start off with A, we go up a half step, that's A sharp. Well, if we go down a half step, we find A flat. When you get to notes like B, you think, well, that's pretty easy to go down a half step, but that's B flat. But what do we do about B sharp since there isn't a black note above the B? We only simply go up a half step, and that becomes B sharp. Every note has got a flat and it's got a sharp. And so it's important to realize that we've only got 8 notes, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and we've got 5 black notes. So that's 13 notes altogether, and it starts over and over and over. And so what I've wanted to do today is explain what each note is. A, B, C, your middle C, your 2 black notes, your name tag, D, E, F, G, and then whether you go up a half step makes that a G sharp, or if you go down a half step makes it a G flat. And so we have to establish the simple basics, and I'm just assuming that if you're watching this video today, maybe you don't know anything at all about music whatsoever. And so the first thing we have to do is establish what are the notes, and that's it. It goes over and over. And so it's a pretty simple process when you really break it down to the basics. Now, for anybody that's really serious about learning to play the piano, I recommend, and it'll help me on these lessons that I'm going to be giving, if you will get yourself a card that shows the piano chords. These cards can be bought at almost any music store. You can go to a Hastings and find maybe cards that don't look exactly like this, but you can find cards that have got piano chords on it, and it will help make it a lot more simpler if you will take and get you one of these cards for a reference. And we will be referencing back to these cards and to the chords as we begin to build our chords. And so as we take and come to the end of this lesson today, I'd like for you to take and begin to walk up and name each note as you come to it. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. You get where you can walk up the notes. It's a lot easier to go up than it is to go down. But go backwards. G, F, E, D, C, B, A. And go over it and over it and over it. And we're going to start off really simple in these lessons. You're not going to play like a pro from the very beginning. But what I will tell you is we will begin to build on every lesson that we come to. We will build upon the last lesson. And the most important thing you can do in between each lesson that you look at is practice, 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 memorize. It's so important. Live it, eat it, and sleep it. Thank you, and have a good day for this first lesson. And meet us back next time for another lesson on how to play the piano by ear.